Ahoy, Pancasters. I'm Pavo.
And I'm Neil.
And this is That's No Moon.
It's a podcast.
Right, now we've done this week's episode, so this is a special little episode for you in regards to the fact that we saw Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, last night at a midnight screening.
Yes, thank you very much to the View Cinema Stroud for letting us do that. So, before we go any further, if you haven't seen Rogue One, stop. Go and watch it. Then come back and watch this, because we will be spoiling. There will be spoilers.
Indeed. We are going to spoil the shit out of the movie. We are going to talk about every little bit and piece of the movie. I'm not going to go into detail in regards to, I think, the actual storyline, because if you're going to see the film, you're going to see what that's all about anyway. But we're going to talk about the things that we enjoyed. The things that maybe either of us didn't think quite worked. And just a general chat. So,
a general chit-chat about what we thought. So I think we should do like we used to do. A while ago, we did explore some spoilers, and we talked to each other and say, what would our toes up be before we discussed?
Yeah, toes up is the rating that we have out of 5. So 5 toes up is the best.
The best. And I'm still going to go, like I said earlier, 5 toes up for me.
Okay.
Now, this will sound... Well, you're in the same boat as me because you're a geek. I've only seen it once, and I will see it again. And so 5 stars is from my first viewing. Now, my toe rating might change once I've seen it again and manage to let it sink in more so I can watch a bit more around. But at the moment, from the first viewing, it's a 5 toes up.
Right, and why?
Because it just gave me everything that I was hoping. It gave me the Star Wars that I know and love from being a youngster. So... all the sets, the designs, the costumes, even down to the little computer screens, and as we spoke about earlier, the moustaches and everything like that were all back in the New Hope universe. It was there. Then you had the little cameos. You had the R2-D2, the C-3PO, the guy from the cantina, Princess Leia, Moff Tarkin, and then we had the fanboy-gasm of Darth Vader. So we'll probably touch on those a little bit more. So all of that is a quick run-through. It just gave me everything I wanted. And then the action sequences and the visually stunningness of it, of Gareth Edwards. Boy, does that man have an eye for filming. The angles and everything, I just thought was phenomenal. So overall, I came out of that... Like I said to you, all the way home I was thinking about it. Went to bed thinking about it. I've been thinking about it all day today. And all I want to do is go and watch it again. I really want to watch it again. And that's not often that happens in a film. Even like the most recent Marvels, I haven't come out of that thinking, I really want to go and watch that again. And not since last year's Force Awakens has it happened. And people have said to me today, did you prefer it over Force Awakens? I can't answer that. Because I've watched Force Awakens a lot of times, as in have I watched the other Star Wars films a lot of times. And until I've seen this a few more times, then I'll be able to come back and put it in my ranking, and I can't at the moment.
Right, okay.
You?
Right, well, I came out of the screening last night and I wasn't pumped up like I have been like I was for The Force Awakens. I was very subdued and almost in a daze. And I don't think it was because... it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I had a day of work, and so I was tired. Yes, I was tired, but it wasn't because of that. It's that thing, the first time you watch a film that you're really looking forward to, it sort of just washes over you, and you don't take everything in because the brain can't compute everything that you're watching all at once. It just physically can't be done. So I think you're only left with and a word that we were messing about with last night, the only thing you've got is the visceral thing of the movie in that moment. And in that moment, I wasn't disappointed because I tweeted out that I was in a daze, and people come back with saying to me, oh my God, you didn't like it. I loved the movie. There are moments in it that are so emotional and that are so just... I don't want to call it fan service because that even sounds like you're sort of you're dissing it. It's not fan service. There are moments in this movie that any self-respecting Star Wars fan has been waiting for 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are moments in this movie that I love The Force Awakens, and that's probably my second or third favorite Star Wars movie. Right. Okay, so I think it's very close to being a perfect movie in regards to production design, acting, storyline, emotion, music, and I don't think this quite had that hit for me. But when it does work, it works amazingly well. Yeah. And I've said this to a few people today that I'm going to see it again tomorrow night. So I'm going to see it again on Friday. And I'm going to be interested to see how someone like my wife, who isn't a massive Star Wars fan, watches it because I watch it, how she's going to react to it, because I think there are moments in it, because some of the pacing is for a war movie is quite slow. Yeah. Things sort of take a little while to get going. I think she's going to get a little bit restless. Right. Star Wars fans love it because there's always something there.
Recognisable. Yeah, yeah. You're in the universe.
Like you say, you've got the 70s touches. You got the even down to Diego Luna's character wears a coat that looks just like Han Solo's coat from Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. It's those kind of little touches which I think are fantastic because it puts you right back into that moment from 40 years ago.
Quibbles? Let's just ask before we go on to what we love, because there's a lot in that.
See, now I think that Michael Giacchino, or Giacchino, whatever you call him, is a fantastic composer of movie music. Yeah. I wanted to hear more themes that I recognised.
You wanted it to be tying in. A bit like the trailer. You heard those, the way they did it.
That bit of music in the trailer fitted that trailer, and we'll talk about the trailer in a minute. I've got plenty of stuff to say about the trailer in a minute. But that one little piece of the music is so emotional, and I was waiting for that piece of music, but I know that it must have been it's obviously trailer music, and I was waiting for it. And the one thing that did strike me through the movie, and again, it's because I'm the same as you, the first time I've watched it, was that there was no hook. There was no emotional hook in the music. No. It sounded like movie music.
Yeah, that's one thing. Now you're saying it, I can't even remember any of the music, really.
No. There was a couple of pieces that sounded right. That is almost like the Empire theme. Yeah. It's almost like they've taken the notes and then they've just... you know what it reminded me of? It's like when you listen to Tubular Bells and then Tubular Bells 2. Right. It's the same map, but it's got a few little different notes here, there, and everywhere. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad.
Oh no, no.
You know, and I'm not, but I'm going to buy the soundtrack because I almost felt the same way for The Force Awakens. The only thing that saved it was all of a sudden there'd be a bit of music that you recognise, and that might be what it is. That I don't recognise any of the music.
Could be, but you see, thinking of it now, I don't remember the music because I was so caught up in what was happening on the screen in front of me. Yeah. So like a lot of what's gone in the background, I'm sure that I've missed loads of stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure I have, but the first time you ever watch a film, it just washes over you. So any other quibbles?
It's not a quibble because I'd forgotten about it like 5 minutes later, but I thought the start was jarring because you see a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then it just goes duh. And I've never been a fan of little captions telling you where you are.
Oh, right, okay.
So you are now here. And I think it's maybe different for Star Wars and like Guardians of the Galaxy because it's planets that you've never been before. But when they do London, England, or they do New York, America, you think, well, I know that's New York. Yeah. And that is a little bit jarring because there are so many new planets in Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, it was a plot device, wasn't it? It kept you informed where it was.
But it is because there are so many planets.
I mean, I don't know whether this is a niggle, but one of the things at the end battle when they're all fighting, some of the soldiers that came with Jin and the rest of the crew were wearing what I can only describe as Vietnam American war helmets.
It looked like that,
didn't it? Yeah. Do you think that was on purpose? Because that was the only part to me. I thought that doesn't really look like it's out of a Star Wars universe.
Again, considering one of the posters was a rebel helmet in the sea, I would, it's a minor quibble, but I would have liked to have seen rebel helmets.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, again, the last 30 minutes of this movie is some of the best cinema I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It is a war movie. This isn't a kids movie.
No.
All right, this isn't a Star Wars kids movie. This is a war movie. I'm not saying that you're seeing blood and guts, and it's not Saving Private Ryan war movie, but it's dark and things don't end happily.
No, there is no happy
movie.
ending.
But that was the other thing. I mean, we'll talk about the good things in a minute, but one of the other bad things, or not, one of the quibbles was because we've not had a lot of time with these characters. When they died, I don't think I had the emotional contact with the people. I think...
I was going to say exactly the same thing. The point you brought up is when they were all dying, I didn't feel sad.
No.
I didn't feel like... People have said they cried, and it didn't make me want to cry. Might do the second time because I know who they all are. But the first time watching it, I wasn't welling up. I was just like, oh, okay.
But I do think that some of the ways... Now, again, we'll let you know, it's a spoilers. Unfortunately, if you're this far and you haven't seen the film yet, tough. Everybody dies. Everybody that's in Jin's... everybody that's on Scarif, which is the last planet where they have the battle, they all die. None of the baddies die, apart from Krennic. Yeah. But a shitload of rebel soldiers, a load of stormtroopers die, but all of the main characters that are in Jin's group, they all die. And like when Bodhi Rook dies, that was just like, he's in the cargo hold of that ship. Somebody drops a bomb in, he looks, and boom. Yeah. There's no sort of fanfare of it. No. And I'm not quite sure at the moment whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, that's some of the way they went, I think is intentional.
Yeah, that it was just... I mean...
as a matter of fact, because, we say that this doesn't end well. Of course we know in The New Hope, of course it ends well because you've seen A New Hope. But like we said before, they had to die. There was no other way. We knew they had to die.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk that they could have gone on to another planet and then they've gone to Alderaan and then that would have been quite funny. But that, for me, was a great touch.
Yeah.
The fact that... Because all the way through it, I kept thinking to myself, especially at the end of that battle... I wonder how they're going to get out of this.
Yeah,
because I knew that some of them were going to die. We knew from the Rogue One panel.
Yeah, exactly.
That Chirrut, that Donnie Yen was going to die.
Yeah, because they told us.
Yeah, because that was sort of let out. So we knew he was going to die. But once he started dying, and then the other ones dying, and I knew that when Diego Luna got shot when they were grabbing the disc drive, I knew that he wasn't dead then. Because that was a typical cinema maneuver that he's led there. They didn't make a big thing of it. But saying that, the two of them, Cassian, isn't it? It's Cassian Andor and Jyn Erso on the beach. And I was so happy that they didn't kiss. Yeah, I thought, oh my God, they're going to... Yeah. But they held each other as the nuclear blast was coming to... And I thought that was beautiful. And I could see where somebody... I didn't cry. I did get... I felt that emotion. I felt that emotion for that bit. But some of the other ones, when they died, it didn't hit me. Like you say, the second time I watch it, I might... Yeah,
it might be different because you're more sort of prepared and you're invested already in the characters once. You're going to come back to these guys.
But I do think another reason that I didn't feel anything for Bodhi Rook was because all the way through I thought he's going to turn. He's going to be a baddie.
Right.
So I didn't have any feeling for him because I thought in a minute he's going to do something that's going to betray the rebels, and he didn't. No. He was straight down the line a good guy. Yeah. I mean, Saw Gerrera died, so Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, that was the other thing. His performance when he was ill or vaded up or half a body was quite a strange performance.
He was definitely chewing the scenery, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it also made him come across as an arse. A little bit.
Well, he's like a fundamentalist, isn't he? Right. He's been shunned by the rebels because he wants to do things his own way, and I think that's how it sort of played. So he's playing both sides. Right. It's the same as Diego Luna's character. That Cassian is when you think about it, he's a really complex character because he was, he sort of said, I've done things being a rebel that I'm not proud of, and he's killing anybody. That guy at the front at the start that was in Dad's army.
That's right.
Yeah, just shot him because he was like
holding him back.
Yeah. So, he's a bit of a bastard, and he's obviously got no time for Jin.
No.
At the start, it's sort of, it's the job, doing the job, which is what being a rebel is. Whereas Jin has sort of made a point of being away from it all. So what about things that worked for you?
Well, straight away, visually, I think Gareth Edwards hit the nail on the head. So we had quite early shots of certain things. Now, one of them is the Star Destroyers. They looked like they were straight out of the 70s again. The way that they'd CGI'd them, obviously they looked like models.
Yeah.
And I really like that touch. Now, I think some people are going to go, well, they didn't look that realistic. And I'm thinking, no, they've made them look like that. And I love little nuances like that have made this film really, really good. So all the visual straight away, I was like, wow. But then Gareth Edwards, we spoke about before, when he did Godzilla, visually, is stunning. I mean, everything he did, like with the people coming out of the plane through the fog with the flares on their feet, he can set something visually brilliant. I really enjoyed the plot, and I'm going to jump straight to the end. I was so happy to see Princess Leia, and like you said, you could literally chop off the titles of that and chop off the titles of A New Hope, put them together, and you got one whole film, and I loved that about it. What about you?
I think I was really impressed with Grand Moff Tarkin.
That was stunning.
The only thing I would say is the first piece of conversation, the first words that he said, I've got no idea what it was he said, because it was almost like white noise, because I was so busy looking at his face that I didn't hear what he was saying.
Right.
And what struck me was how brave they were and how confident they obviously were in how it looked, that Peter Cushing, if you like, has got more screen time in this movie than he did in the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to maybe be back of the head, a little bit of voice, walking past the camera, but he is there full on.
Full on.
It's still not 100%.
No,
it's the mouth.
You can tell it's CGI, and a little bit in the eyes still.
Yeah, but that is the nearest that I've seen to perfection.
But I think better than Moff Tarkin, and he was incredibly good, was the young Princess Leia.
Yeah, but again, it was still the mouth, wasn't it? It still
you never
was.
Get away from that.
Yeah, because when she turns around, originally I thought it was Billie Lourd, which is Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Right.
And I thought they made her up, because the rumour was that she was supposed to be in Force Awakens as a young Princess Leia. And but then I looked and I thought, oh my God. But again, as an ending to the movie, the last word of the movie is hope. And it was a little seeing Bail Organa, so seeing Jimmy Smits and him saying
about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, because they don't mention the name Obi-Wan, but he says, oh yeah, the Jedi that's in, I will get hold of him and let him know what's going on. And he also made a comment about who are you going to get the plans to? Oh, can you trust her? Oh, I trust her with my life, and he's talking about Princess Leia. So those little moments, to a normal cinema goer, maybe isn't going to mean anything.
Not a lot.
But to me and to you and to any Star Wars fan, you're thinking, that's just brilliant. Yeah. That is just brilliant the way they've done it.
But they do it for people that I wouldn't say is like hardcore Star Wars fans. It's the little R2-D2 and C-3PO moment.
Yeah. But then again, Bail Organa's there, so they would be there.
Exactly.
They would be there. So it makes absolute sense. And like I've said, I think I said on our, I don't know whether I said, but anyway, when I was listening to podcasts beforehand, they were saying that, and this is just somebody's theory, when you go to the scene in A New Hope where Vader chokes out the guy that when they're around the big table, and Tarkin says, stop this, let's stop this quarrelling or whatever. There's one empty chair apparently, and people are saying, well, that's Krennic's chair. And I thought, that's just fucking brilliant. It's not obviously not true, because George Lucas wouldn't have had an idea that there was going to be a Krennic back in 76. But the fact that somebody has seen that and thought, that's Krennic's chair there, and he's just not there. Yeah. Or obviously he's dead now.
Well, of course he's dead.
So
then, isn't he?
That chair is going to be... Krennic, I thought that he could have chewed the scenery a little bit more.
A little bit more, yeah. He seemed a bit damp.
Yeah,
didn't
and it was also 1 minute he sort of seemed to have an English accent, next minute he seemed to be more Australian.
Yeah, I think he was having an accent problem.
Yeah, and I think...
And he didn't come across as evil as Moff Tarkin. To me...
Well, I don't know. I mean, looking at when the Death Star is in operation and he's sort of going, oh, doesn't it look beautiful? He's quite a sadistic bastard.
Yeah. I suppose.
But, and I will say, if anybody out there hasn't read Catalyst, it makes that movie... You've got to read it or listen to it, because that first scene... There's so much more behind that. Right. That look that Krennic gives Galen when he's sort of looking down and then sort of looks up at him. That look is what Catalyst is all about.
Right.
And and the whole reason that Krennic knows who Jyn is, because Krennic has known Jyn's mother when she was pregnant with Jyn.
Yeah.
So Krennic has known Jyn all her life. So that whole dynamic of all of those... So when Jyn... I keep forgetting what Jyn's mum's name is. Begins with L. I'm just awful.
Yeah.
Can't remember. But when she dies, that makes that all the more... And that's a great way of starting it. Because you're starting it with a gut punch. I was trying to think. Yeah, Princess Leia was fantastic. And then the 90 seconds of Darth Vader.
This is something I want to come to, is Darth Vader in the movie. I did... And I'm not disappointed, because I think they did it quite well. I did think we were going to see more of him.
Right, okay.
I did think we were going to see more of him. We did see the Bacta tank.
Back to tank, yeah.
Yeah, Bacta tank, sorry. Yeah. And we spoke about that on the... that was quite a nice touch. I like that. But I wasn't disappointed, but I genuinely sat in the movie thinking, oh, we're going to see quite a lot of him now. He's appeared. Didn't see as much as we thought.
Right. I mean, I must admit, because when it got to a point in the movie... And then because I think Jyn and everybody had died, and I thought to myself, well, we've got to see Vader again. We must have.
Yeah.
And then it was that it sort of almost mirrored the opening scene when you see Darth Vader in A New Hope.
Yeah.
But instead of it all being white, it's all black, and just that moment when, because I was looking at it and it was all the rebels are there with their guns and those hats. They got the hats on and they're all looking and they're all pointing, and then it's black. And I thought, is he going to do his lightsaber? And then they ignited the lightsaber, and all I thought was, I wish I was watching this movie in America.
Yeah.
Because everybody would be losing their shit now. Everybody would be up in there.
There'd be whoops. And
it was 90 seconds of what everybody wants to see Darth Vader doing. He is just cutting through them. He is choking them. He is deflecting stuff. It was just fantastic.
Which is quite nice, because we've spoken about it before, where like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are fighting and it's quite slow and fluid.
Yeah.
He wasn't fast and that.
No.
Was he? He was just going through in his motions.
That for me was the highlight of the movie.
The whole, I would agree with that.
Those
90 seconds, it's got to be a highlight in probably the whole series.
Yeah, but it's in a movie that there are so many highlights.
I mean, we've probably missed loads, and it's going to be worth. I'm going to try and catch it again this weekend. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to, but I'm really going to try and catch it. And it'll be when we reconvene next week, I'll be really interested to see if I've seen it again. But I'll be even more interested if you.
Before we, I've got one more question. But before we go to the final question, the trailers. Now, I think when we did the Force Awakens trailer, not trailer reaction, but like trailer breakdown, and then we watched the movie, and I remember saying that I'm not going to get caught again, because they always do this. They edit things, and like somebody's looking at somebody in the trailer and they're not actually looking at them in the movie. There were 2 or 3 moments in the trailers of Rogue One that weren't in the movie that really did bother me.
Okay.
Especially the one that I think is the most iconic moment of any of the trailers is when Jyn is walking down that plank with the plans in her hand, and the TIE fighter comes up. Yeah. And you think, my God, is that Vader in there? Is that going to be one of her friends? And it wasn't even in the movie.
No, I found that weird.
And that took me out of the movie for a couple of minutes because that part was there, and she was about to walk out onto there. And then she went over to the screen. The screen said the satellite dish was unaligned or misaligned or something. And I thought, I don't believe it. And like the I rebel line wasn't in there. No. And the bit when she says, if my father, we've got to find him, and she's almost crying. Yeah. That was sort of a different version. It's stuff like that I it because there's such good bits in the trailers. I don't understand why. It's obviously it's obviously to do with editing.
Yeah,
but I would love to have known the storyline of the TIE fighter.
I did notice that. I forgot to say it, but where was it?
Yeah.
Where was it? But we all thought it was Vader. If you've got any comments, if you've seen the movie now, do please comment below. Anything about it, really. Try not to spoil it too much on the comments. Too much, but if you do, you do.
So my final question is, who is your man stroke woman stroke droid stroke creature of the match?
Of that movie?
Of the movie.
At the moment, it's going to be Jyn Erso. It'll probably, whether it changes or it probably will change. I mean, obviously Darth Vader, but just because of that moment. But for the main character in that movie, I would probably say Jyn Erso at the moment.
Right.
At the moment.
Okay.
It's quite good because I will reiterate, it's quite fresh to us. We've only seen it once, we haven't absorbed it all. So we're talking from a fresh perspective.
Yeah. For me, well, I thought K2SO was really good.
Oh, he did have some very funny lines. Brought
the humour to it and was the obvious comic relief. Vader, I thought, was fantastic. But I thought Felicity Jones was just fantastic. She's sort of slowly becoming one of my favourite actresses.
Yeah.
If any of you there have ever seen Cemetery Junction, which is a movie she did a few years ago that was written and directed by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant from The Office, she's fantastic in that. That's like set in the 70s. I don't know if you've ever seen.
I have, only once.
And obviously in The Theory of Everything, she's fantastic. There's a new movie that she's got coming out, Monster Calls.
That's right.
Which looks phenomenal.
That's one with Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, yeah. But she's just, right from the start, she plays emotion so well.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
And she's fantastic at doing that thing where she looks like she's just about to cry. You know, it's almost like a Shia LaBeouf kind of thing. But she is absolutely fantastic in this movie. I mean, everybody's really good, but she's my favourite. Yeah.
Brilliant. So likewise, again, I'll reiterate, if you've got any comments, please do comment below. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the show notes will feature how you can get hold of us and find out all about our other stuff. But yeah, so let me ask you once again, we've gone through a little bit of a discussion. I doubt it will have changed, but toes up.
I'm going to go 4. But I'm going to see it tomorrow night, and it wouldn't surprise me if I come back tomorrow and put 5 toes up.
Well, I'm going to stick with 5.
Yeah.
Until and then I'll maybe reevaluate. We'll see. But at the moment, 5.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please go and watch it again. We thoroughly recommend it. It's a Star Wars film, of course we're going to recommend it. Come and subscribe to our channel. Please like the video. Come and share it with your friends. But for now, thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you very much, Pav.
Thank you very much. That's another episode of... That's the Moon. Thank you.